Hey, everybody. Welcome to the first day of the rest of my YouTube journey. Thank you for riding with me. Thank you for your support. I promised you guys a video on my son's tongue tie revisions and his milestones, and today is that day. So let's just dive right in. Thank you for supporting me. Hey, guys. I am trying something new. And you know me, I am not really afraid of doing new stuff, but this is brand new. So my second son has graciously allowed me to play in his computer world, and he set me up with being able to record on kind of a professional system. And I'm like, oh, looking around, I'm impressed. I didn't even know he had all this stuff. Anyway, so this is me welcoming you to the first day of the rest of my YouTube journey. Thank you for coming with me. Did you like my intro? That thing that happened at the beginning? I've been waiting a long time for that. And this may not seem like big milestones to you guys, but it's a huge milestone for me. Um, and speaking of milestones, I promised you guys the video of about what was going on with my son's tongue tie. You hear him in the background. And so that's that video today. And hopefully, with this newfound professional help and technological help, I'll be able to video a lot more frequently and feel a lot more comfortable. So, that being said, we're jumping into it. Here we go. So, Alex is 5 months old, and he had a tongue tie revision done when he was 6 weeks old. Uh, to start that off, you guys know he was premature, 33 weeks. And the day after he was born, I told the doctors that he had a tongue tie because I was looking at his tongue and how his mouth was shaping. And just having had three other children, no one wanted to listen. They kept patronizing me away and excusing it as he was premature and so his mouth was small. There's a big difference in being small and malformed. Um, so that being said, no one listened. He spent a couple weeks in NICU not having it addressed. We get home, 2 or 3 more weeks go by, and my milk supply started to deplete and dry up. And I had done all the pumping and expressing and all of the things that they tell you to do. I reached out to a couple lactation consultants, and I'm doing all the things, but not really getting that supply. Finally, my midwife comes for, I think, my 6 week checkup, and she says, "You know, he's tongue tied, right?" I'm like, "Ain't this a yeah?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but nobody's listening. What do I do?" And she's like, "Okay, let me give you the name to my lactation girl." And I reached out to her, bada bing, bada boom. Within 3 days, I was in her office. Within 5 days, I was in Dr. Prasard's office. Shout out to Dr. Prasard at Tongue Tie and Laser Center of Atlanta. He is a rock star. Um, and he started assessing and evaluating my son's um, mouth and tongue and cheeks, realizing that he had a tongue tie, lip tie, and buccal ties. And he says it's quite frequent that hospitals will send parents home without telling them anything about this and letting them have to suffer and struggle through on their own to sort it out and figure it out. That just went along with yet another thing that peed me off with our medical industrial complex. So he assessed him. He wanted to do the tongue tie surgery right then and there. That's how bad my baby's mouth was. But he wanted to give me a couple days to do his exercises and his therapies and get comfortable with where he was going to have to be with all of his therapies. Well, a couple days later, he's in there. Oh my God, it was the most emotionally wrenching experience I've had to go through with any of my kids as babies. I'm not even going to get into the details of the procedure, but trust me, as a mom, you know it has to be done. I just wish there was a way they could numb some of the discomfort during the procedure because even though he used the CO2 laser, which is amazing, it was still a procedure and he had to go through it without anesthesia. And babies do remember this discomfort. One of the principal reasons I don't circumcise. but that's another topic. So he came through that like a rock star, immediately started nursing. I could feel the difference as soon as he latched on. Wow. So then that started almost 3 months worth of physical therapies and craniosacral therapies. If you're not familiar with craniosacral, you have to just kind of Google it. I'm not a professional. We've had our sessions, and I only know what my therapist um, has been doing for us, but it is really well worth looking into. Um, so we did our craniosacral, we did our physical and our occupational therapies through Dr. Prasard's office. We can also go back for chiropractic, which I think I'm going to wait a couple months for, and just a series of oral and physical at home treatments and therapies that we were doing, along with his developmental therapies. And I'm going to tell you, fast forward to 5 months, he just had his release from clinic appointment on last, no, it was just Monday. Ooh, mommy brain. So he just had his release from clinic appointment on Monday, where he is doing amazingly well. He still has a bit of a high palate and it's slightly narrow. So he's given me some oral manipulatives to invest in to kind of help sort that out. But he was like, over time and growth, it will sort itself out. I'm not really concerned about it because my baby is doing things that he would have never been able to do as a normal baby without the tongue tie and buckle tie and lip tie releases, which is something simple like sticking your tongue out and manipulating foodstuffs in his mouth and just really being able to smile. He wasn't able to really smile for the first 6, 7 weeks of his life because he was all tied up in here, all up in here and up in here and in his mouth. It was terrible. And I can look at the pictures from when he was 6 or 7 weeks old till right after his surgery, almost a week later, and it's the difference in night and day. And I'm utterly pissed off at, again, the medical industrial complex's policies, these hospitals' procedures and policies that will allow a parent to go home without addressing, when they can address, these tongue tie, lip tie issues. Not even acknowledging that there are issues, because then you would insist that they address them, and they don't want to do that. It just really, really pees me off, because if I had been a less experienced person or a less observant person or just a more ignorant person, he could have gone this way for months and his weight would have not been gained properly. He would not have met milestones. He would have not been on his curve. It's just so many trickle down effects that could have happened had I not been more observant. And it just pisses me that our medical industrial complex is driven so much by capital that they assembly line everything. My son was an assembly line baby. He was born prematurely, yes, 33 weeks. He had nothing more than a feeding tube. He didn't have a cannula, he didn't have tubes and gadgets, and thank God for that. He wasn't in an incubator, he wasn't under lights. He came here a very, very healthy, sturdy boy. And they would never tell me when he was coming out of the NICU. They really wouldn't give me any progressive updates. I had to push and ask and pull, and everything was oral, nothing was written. And every time we asked, okay, he's making his weight gain. He's doing this, he's doing that. Everything you told me yesterday he needs to be doing, he's doing today. When is a good day that we can assume, or a time frame that we can assume that he can go home? Oh, well, it's really up to him. What do you mean up to him? I needed to get my son home so that I could see and evaluate him for myself, so that I would know the things as a mother that needed to be done for him to progress and grow and develop, start his life. Oh, it's up to him. It's up to him. Trust and believe, when they got that damn bill at my insurance company for $80,000. $80,000. I knew as soon as I got the receipt from the insurance company, they were going to put his little ass out. I knew that right then and there. And trust me, the day I was there, I said, "Hey, when can he come home?" "Oh, it's up to Alex. It's up to him. It's up to him." Well, leave it up to him. He'll be in the NICU till he's 18. But needless to say, I went back the next day after me having received the receipt, and all of a sudden, brand new doctors, brand new nurses who I'd never seen, who had never cared for my child, pop in and say, "Oh, well, he can go home." You started telling me about CPR classes. You started telling me about car seat training and testing. You started telling me about all these other things that you do as a procedure before you release babies home, not even 24 hours ago. And today it's like, oh, you can go home now. And it took me coaxing and cajoling another doctor who was called in specifically to discharge my child for her to say to me, "Well, the insurance company feels like he's only had a feeding tube and he really doesn't need to be in NICU." Mm-hmm. Okay. So that being said, I got him home, and that's when all the fun with his tongue tie and lip ties began. I'm going to try to put a um another video onto this one. If not, I'll just make a separate video of some of his pre-surgery physical therapies versus how he looks after his tongue tie releases, so that you can see the comparison for yourself, because I'm very, very proud and pleased with what they've done and where my son is currently with his mouth. And what happened? Hey, Kai. Oh, well, then that's just. I'm gonna have to edit this out. Something happened. It's recording again. The whole screen just went black. These are technical difficulties that I welcome, because I'm happy to have this system and my son having such technological knowledge as to be able to help me. But anyway, as I was saying, I'm going to try to put um, a video on the end of here, or two videos on the end of here, so you can see his pre-surgery, pre-release um, exercise and therapies, and then see a really, really short snippet of what he looks like subsequent of the therapies being over and his development through having had these releases done. Well, that's about it right now. I think that whole glitch in the system that shut me down for a few seconds has been enough for me. And I'm debating on whether I'm going to leave that in, because you know me, I told you my life is unscripted and raw, and I'm trying to polish it up a bit, but it's still going to be unscripted and raw. I just feel like that's what's going to happen. So I may just leave the glitches in for good measure, because I don't want to gloss and fluff them up too much to where they're pretentious and artificial. I just want to be able to get across to you guys where I am and share my journey and make sure that I convey my appreciation and disseminate information for you guys. So, that being said, I'm going to end this video and let the technology gods work it out. And I'll be back in another couple days until I sort this out. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for following me, and enjoy the rest of your day. From my heart to yours, love me, love you. Bye.